Hey, what's up guys? So today what I want to do is go over the aircraft I'm flying, as well as I'll show you the PIDs and rates and all that good stuff in the configurator later on in the video. But real quickly before I jump into that, I wanted to go over what I'm flying in terms of what the aircraft is. So to begin with, this is a reverb frame from Impulse RC. Really awesome frame. I've been flying it ever since it came out. I have the Alien 4.5 and 5-inch, and to me this is kind of one of my favorite frames to fly, especially from a freestyle perspective. So coupled with that, we have the T motors that the F40 V3s 2600 kV. These were released a few months ago and they've been holding up really good. It's an awesome combination with the S3 props from HQ and Ethics. I guess this combination, one, the motors are really torquey, and this prop is 3.5 grams or so, which is really on the light end, so it helps really with prop wash and just overall handling. So I'm super pumped on this combo. As for the camera, I'm running a Fatshark Predator V3, and I've been running the Predators ever since they came out. They're an excellent camera from Fatshark, so if you're looking at cameras, this one has been holding up really well, and they're especially durable. So I've crashed, and yeah, I only have broke one camera in the last 2 years, I want to say. So as for the VTX setup, I'm running a Unify HV as well as a Triumph antenna from TBS. Awesome combination, very reliable. And this VTX, honestly, I had this VTX about over a year now, so it's been holding up really good. And one thing that you can say about TBS is they have crazy good reliability in their products. So that stuff, that's kind of essentially some of the stuff. As for the ESC and FC, as well as the PDB, I want to talk a little bit about PDB. I'm running a Wolf PDB, which basically is OSD information. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I think Impulse RC has them in stock, and they fit with a lot of modern frames, I would say, but it's specifically designed for the reverb, and it provides OSD information such as voltage, the amp draw. You could put a timer on there. You could like configure your PIDs and rates and all that stuff via stick command. So it's pretty awesome for KISS especially. So I'm running a KISS V2 FC, and as you can see there, it's kind of mounted with some spacers, some rubber spacers. And then as for the ESC, I'm running a KISS 32 amp ESC with some capacitors, just so I keep the video as clean as possible. Just purely based on my flying style. I want clear video at all times, so I chucked a couple of capacitors in there to kind of help with the voltage noise. So as for the radio equipment, I'm running a Immortal T, I think this is the V2. I've had really good range with this, as well as it's been really durable and reliable. So awesome upgrade if you're on the Immortal T side of things. And then with that, obviously Crossfire to me is something that is awesome. I think if there's one thing that I've seen in the past year or so, is Crossfire kind of improved my flight characteristics a lot. So awesome stuff from TBS. And yeah, so as for the actual aircraft, I am running a GoPro Session, as you can see, with a foam wedge. This is just Velcro from the bottom, and yeah, just kind of cut it out and put it on there, and chuck my GoPro Session on there. So as for the aircraft in general, this is the setup that I fly on a daily basis. I'll jump into the PIDs and other configurations in my KISS FC configurator, so you guys can have it for reference. Hopefully it helps. See ya. Okay guys, so quickly I want to jump into the configurator and show you a few of the values that you may be interested in. First off, I'm using the TBS Crossfire for the receiver because I'm using the Crossfire gear. This is an important setting, the level mode second. It used to be 10, now it's at 0. So what this means is, given that your radio is set up correctly, when a failsafe happens, it's not going to level off for 10 seconds. It's going to immediately try to cut off the motors and drop it out the air so your quad doesn't go spinning into the sky. So that's kind of more of a safety setting that just make sure you have it on 0 for the most part. Let's jump into the PIDs and rates, which probably everyone wants to kind of peek at. And just so you know, for all these rates, in terms of P term and I term, these are very moderate rates, or moderate values, I should say. And the reason why I kept these very moderate, because I know a lot of people run them above 6, above 5 for roll. Some people put for yaw, put 10 or so, and so on and so forth. They have higher values there because they want the responsiveness to be there. But my goal was when I tune is to have a consistent feel. So for instance, when it's cooler, you could increase your PIDs, right? When it's warmer, you might have to decrease your PIDs just because of the heat tolerance from the gear. So what I want to do is find a conservative middle ground that I don't have to do any of that. I could just keep it consistent, keep consistent PID values throughout the weather changes that you may experience or I may experience. So that's how I design these PID values, besides just, you know, making sure it flies well. So P values, I values are very moderate, and then D values are relatively low compared to other people's PID values I've seen, especially with the KISS V2 stuff. I've seen people be in the 20s and 17s and even beyond that. But for me, in my preference, it just feels less responsive the more D term you have. It does help, you know, from a perspective of if you're getting bounced back, it could help in that degree, but it's very minimal. You really have to look at your P and I term for that piece of fix. So here we go. So yeah, these are moderate, and yeah, chuck them in if you wanna try my PID values. But it's really designed for the gear I run, and that's the reason why I wanted to go over each component of the gear. So if you do want to try it, it's really designed for the gear I run. So there may be some issues that you experience with these values that I'm not aware of because it's not across all quads and all type of equipment. So the next thing is rates, and for rates, these are relatively what I kind of came up with. They've kind of slightly changed over the years, but for the most part, you know, it feels good, and rates are going to be very subjective. So let me talk a little bit about why it's going to be subjective, because your motor skills are different across different people. People react differently. So these rates are really designed for how I react and what I want to achieve, etc. And it may not fit for you, but it might be a good starting point. So I wanted to kind of share these with you. My roll and pitch axis are very similar because I want the same deflection for both those axes. For yaw, it's a little different because it's an awkward movement. It's on my throttle, so I like keeping that low and less responsive. That's why I added a RC curve, a higher RC curve there, and kept the RC rate low relatively. So that's kind of my rates, and I'll jump into the actual rate tab here in a minute. General settings, I am using an idle up switch. That's why you don't see quote unquote 1,000 for the min command. I think that's how you set air mode up, or KISS, the KISS type of air mode. But for me, I use an idle up switch, and I've been using an idle up switch for the last three years or so, just based on yeah, the clean flight days where air mode was not a thing. So that's kind of one piece that people have asked me about. These are all standard. Filtering, this is default by high, and the reason why I keep it high is because adaptive filtering only works with high on the actual filter. So I do have adaptive filtering enabled, as you can see on my advanced tabs. Another configuration that people have asked me about is set point weight determ. and I usually keep this from about 90. When it gets cooler, I might drop it down. When it gets warmer, I might increase it. It just helps smooth out some of the stick movements. That's kind of essentially what it's doing. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in my upcoming videos and why you would want to set this up for particular flying styles. And so that's about it. Everything else is pretty much default on this page. I am running a custom orientation, just basically flips, or not flips, but just rotates my FC 180 degrees from its original position. That's really nothing. Output tab, there's not much here. Rates, okay, so rates, this is something that people have asked me about, which is what is the I don't know, my spin rate and the seconds and all this other stuff. And for me, let me just, I guess, rant for a little bit. Rates, this is a simulated number. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of variables out there, including battery, including weight of the quad, including the prop you use. It could even be, you know, the type of battery, like 6S versus 4S. The quad's going to react differently. You're not getting, you know, 1,125 rate per second turn or whatever the case may be in your pitch and roll axis. That's not possible because there are real life factors that limit that, or you could be well above that as well. So it could, this number right here is a simulated number, and the way that I tune is I tune based on stick feel, line of sight tuning, hearing the noise that's coming out of the motors, the prop deflection if I do have any, and just there's way more to it than just looking at this number and setting up your rate. So, and I want to kind of do some videos around this to help you guys out a little bit, so just be patient. Hopefully we'll get some videos started on this stuff in the next few weeks. TPA, I'm not running any type of TPA influence curve besides the default. So that's about it, guys. I mean, I just really wanted to kind of share this with you, and you could use this as a reference, a starting point for, you know, how you want to tune, what values you want to input. So hopefully it's helpful, and yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I'll do more of these things behind the scenes of what I use and how I use it, the settings, and etc. So hopefully that's helpful, and see you in the next one.